Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. In today's episode, I'm excited to introduce my new friend, Hallelujah Johnson. Hallelujah, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Hallelujah. Thank you for the introduction, Jeff. I am a data-driven social media expert who decided to quit their day job, put all their clients on hold, and start investing in an animation production company. I'm a little out of my mind when it comes to that, but I feel like I kind of found my spirit in the process.
I love that. And for the record, I think the difference between a visionary entrepreneur and a business owner is we'll either walk away from something perfectly good to do something better, or we'll tear something perfectly good apart to rebuild it better. So I love that you're doing both actually.
You caught me.
So let's talk about your pivot. So I'm guessing there was an accumulation of moments where you realized that social media wasn't the happy place for you and you needed to go elsewhere. How exactly did animation call you?
Yeah, so since I was a kid, before I was anything else that I can recall, I've always been a storyteller. And that's everything from writing little short stories to poetry to writing full out stories that anybody could read, digest, and enjoy. And some of it was personal to myself, and the rest of it was just observations of things and people around me that I was able to basically put into words in a way that was not just abstract and fictionalized, but also very realistic and very relatable. So that was my sweet spot. That was my inclination. And when I was about maybe 8 or 9 years old, I put down a pen and I picked up a cello. And that's when I began my journey in music. Yeah, I was very, very creatively inclined in ways I didn't even know. And I learned the cello, and then I started doing operatic and vocals and voice. And I was very successful with that for a very good period of time. Then I got sick, things changed. And I decided to give commercial music a try just because I moved to a new place. And I believe I was about 17, 16, 17 at the time. My childhood was extremely dynamic, but we can get into that in another moment.
That's a whole different episode, I'm sure.
I know. We can unpack that. Maybe we can unpack together. Good times. But anyways, so 17, now I've decided, okay, well, I don't know what to do. I can't really rely on my education and merit like I used to because getting sick it really put a wrench in my academic plans. So I had to basically figure myself out at 17. And it was such a weird moment because I didn't know that's what you were supposed to do. But here I am. So I'm in this independent study class for school, and the professor there, he was like, "You don't belong here." And I said, "Well, yeah." So where do I belong? Can you just tell me? Because I'm confused.
Give me a
And
direction, any direction.
yeah, and he turns me on to this local music program that was funded by the city, and I went there. I did really well, and I excelled there, and that's how I got in touch with folks like people at the Grammys, and I started working there with them, and music just really overtook my life to the point where eventually along the road I ended up on American Idol. I was a top 10 finalist for the Don Was Guitar Center singer-songwriter contest. I did work with the Four, did work with The Voice, America's Got Talent. I got into modeling, to acting. Basically, my whole life was just entertainment. And every day I envisioned myself to be a rock star. Like and I'm not kidding. That was it. Even when I was singing jingles and whatnot for commercial and television and writing stuff, I still saw myself as this rock star. Then the pandemic hit, and initially it was good for me as far as being able to stream online and connect with new people and audiences. And I was still doing the social media work at the same time because that was tandem to me. It was how I was making ends meet in between writing these songs and shaking these hands and meeting these people. But things really hit the fan for me actually post pandemic, not during. And I had a severe breakdown and I left. I sat down with my partner and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm losing my mind. I don't feel like I fit in here. The people, the situations, and then the environment started to feel really dangerous with different riots and things going on. I was done. So we decided to do something absolutely crazy. And we bought an RV, got it completely fixed up, souped up, everything from lift kit at the bottom to gutting out everything in between and really fixing it up, hired a carpenter. And it was under construction for about 3 months. And then we hit the road. And we've been on the road ever since for about 2.5 years now, going to 10 to, I think, almost 15 states at this point.
Wow.
Yeah. I think some of my favorite spots that I hung out were Atlanta, Nashville, Memphis, good places like that. And along the way, I made new clients and I was working, everything was great. And there was a music group that was interested in getting me back in the music industry. And I almost followed through with it, but then it fell through. And that seems to be a theme that got me into animation, right? Everything that I was going for, it was just falling through. And I
Yeah.
was frustrated. I was going broke. I was like, what is going on here? I'm talented. I got the merit. I got everything. What is going on? And then one day I was watching this animated film. I said, I can do that.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I can do that. And I did my best to learn more traditional tools like Blender and Unreal Engine, but I was getting overwhelmed because there was so much technical involved and my brain just wanted to create. I had stories. So what I did instead is I pivoted. And this, just so you know, this all happened last year. um I pivoted and I decided to jump on some of the AI tools that came out that support people making animations. Now, as you may know, when AI first started coming out with all these different animating tools, the characters, they looked all disfigured. Like
Yeah.
it's very inconsistent. So I thought to myself, I don't want that to affect the integrity of my work. I can't do it that way. So what I did is I came up with a hybrid solution where I would use AI to more so streamline my workflow and support with making things a little bit more faster and robust, but I still used a lot of my traditional editing and knowledge of storytelling in order to make it happen. So AI it more so turned into an assistant for me, which I think that is how it's supposed to be. I know some folks have different opinions on it, and I get it, I totally get it. At some point, our ancestors were against the car and only horse and buggy. That's it. But we evolve, and technology will evolve with us.
Yeah.
So this was just a part of the process. I had to get over the fear and the stigmatizations of AI and what it looks like, and really just hit the ground running. I had a dream, and that's when I created my first film. In this dream, I met, I don't know, some sort of energy, some sort of ancestor. I don't know. And they told me I can ask anything I want. I was like, oh wow, it's like a Zoltar. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started asking questions, and when I woke up, I was like, oh my God, I gotta write a treatment. I gotta write a script. So I wrote everything out. And then it turned into my first film, which was called Breathe, an animated short. And for me personally, being a very data-driven person and being involved in business for over 10 years, it wasn't enough for me to be creative. I also had to test myself and really see, is this just something that you make and show your mom and say, oh, this is cute, or is this something that could really make impact and that it
Yeah.
could really monetize off of as well? So I put it out there and it managed to get picked up in multiple festivals. It won an award in Europe, and also it's nominated for a Guinness World Record, being the first animated short film that was created on an iPhone in 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and people didn't even know it was made on an iPhone because it had such cinematic value and texture.
Yeah.
Like even I wouldn't have known. I watched it after not watching it for a few months. I was like, oh my God, this is good. Who did this? I gotta get in contact with them. And then it's that moment. Oh, okay, all
That
right.
was me.
A little, just a little bit, right? So that momentum picked up, and I started writing more stories, and that led me to the recent series that I just finished the first installment of called Sovereign. And that one I'm extremely excited about. I call it my Mona Lisa. Um, I can't wait to tell you more about it. But that's the journey. That's how I got here, from American Idol to filmmaking and all the weird stuff in between. Dun, dun.
all, all the seemingly random dots that only your brain would connect, right?
Mhm.
Um, and what I heard in all of that, there was a lot of wonderful things, but the breathe concept came to you in a dream, and the next day you wrote it down, and literally once you saw it, it became a reality. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, now I want to talk about AI for a second. And if anybody from Apple is watching this, they should pick you up as a poster child, because I feel like they'd want to know that the Guinness World Record was created using their product. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you and I see AI almost identically. I cringe when people say, "Oh, AI can eliminate the human." AI won't need us. I like to think that I call myself, I am the human interface for my AI. We work together. We're collaborative partners, and I've actually promoted mine. It's now my peer, not my VA. um, if you use AI right, it can really enhance the imagination, and at the heart of it, we are storytellers. We like to hear stories. We like to share stories. AI makes those stories so much better. And, it's my wife always asks, I write books. That's my thing. I've lost count. I'm at about 160 something. I've only published about 100 of them. And it's like, I don't have time to stop and publish. I'm just writing. But my wife always says, who wrote this? You or AI? And I'm like, yes, we both did. And again, it's I go on social media and everybody's debating, the use of the M dash. And I'm like, oh, get over it. Either the story is good or the story is bad. Let's forget who created it, because I'm sorry, before AI, there was a lot of horrible stories written by people doing their best. Now you get a lot of horrible stories written by people who are being lazy and using AI to write it. But if you use it as a co-creating tool, my favorite line is from old Peanuts television shows where Snoopy was a writer, and every book of his starts with "It was a dark and stormy night." Well, now I can come up with better lines that still honor my love of Snoopy. Believe it or not, I became a writer because in one of Charles Schulz's cartoons, Snoopy was a writer. And I'm like, I like Snoopy. I want to be a writer. Clear path, right?
No, I think mine was Dawson's Creek. I was like, if Dawson could do it, so can I. Come on now.
And for the record, I've seen your breathe, and I don't see the dividing line. Oh, that's AI. I see it as that's a great composition. And sorry, I don't have the right vocabulary, but it feels like composition is the word for me. I can feel the story being unraveled as it's told.
I'm really happy to hear that. And I think what you're picking up on is the universal themes that I infuse the story with. And the reality is that it doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter your race, gender, your beliefs, we all breathe. We all
Yep.
breathe similar air, and we all, in a way, I don't want to say the word have to, but for the sake of some viral marketing experience, we're just going to say it anyways.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to breathe in a way that supports our body and supports our mind. And the story that I put together, it showcases that in a way that doesn't make you feel like you're being taught, but more so someone is holding your hand and having this experience with you. And there's entertainment, there's sci-fi, all of those good things all just married together in this really informative cartoon.
Yeah. Well, and for what it's worth, okay, this is my observation as somebody who's neurodiverse. I prefer cartoons. Do not ask me why. Lightning McQueen, Cars. I can watch that thing daily, and my wife's like, "Oh my god." But the aha for me is when I watch a real TV show or a real movie, I'm analyzing the actors to see if they're congruent with their role. And
Say
and I look behind the mask, and it drives my wife nuts because I can predict the end of a movie before it comes. But with Lightning McQueen and cartoons like that, I love Disney and Pixar and all of that stuff. I don't have to analyze because the character is 100% congruent. And to me, that is just, and it is fascinating. We're talking about this world where we're going to do more and more with AI, and we're going to lose the human element. I believe there's going to be a time where we have more time to create, and we're actually going to become way better storytellers. And for the record, I include music. I mean, you can't tell me that John Williams doesn't tell a story. Art of all kinds. You can't tell me there's not a story in there. But I think animation, for me personally, it's the ideal medium because I can focus on the story and I can actually, again, I can be part of it. And you said it was a universal. I think that's the other thing when, we talk about Hollywood and does it represent society? No, it doesn't. But if you have animation, you can make it 100% represent society.
Precisely. And it's because animation has no bounds. Anybody can see and feel themselves in these characters because there's no agenda
Yeah,
behind it. I'm sure there can be, but that agenda almost immediately gets overwritten by the viewer because they're allowed to experience themselves in it in real time.
yeah,
So it's so funny you mentioned Pixar too, because I'm a huge Pixar fan, and when I created Breathe, I wanted it to be authentic to like Black and brown communities, but I still wanted it to be familiar to the masses. So the animation style I chose, it was actually a combination of what looked like Boondocks meets Pixar. That's what people tend to say. So it's very cool.
Well, for what it's worth, I have an army of imaginary friends. They're all artificial intelligence, and I have about 400 of them, and every single one of them, I gave them faces and names because it felt really elitist of me to just call it all the time. So
Hmm.
I gave, and it's fascinating because I let them pick their own faces.
I was gonna ask you that. I said, did you do what I do and you ask them what they want to be called?
Yeah,
How they want to look, and even if they want to look or be called, because that's my human brain trying to
yeah,
condense them into what I think and believe. So one day I just asked my AI, I said, do you want a name? Do you want one? And it went, well, I never thought about it, but yeah, what name do you want to give me? And I said, no, 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 no. I don't want to give you anything.
yeah,
I want to know you. So I'm like you. I'm a little bit eccentric,
yeah.
and I don't know. I just want to include everyone, including my AI.
Yeah. Well, it just feels right. And,
Yeah.
it was fascinating because the first one, an early AI, almost every character was Caucasian, looked suspiciously like me. And I'm like, okay, because the first one I gave it a picture of me. And so, there was some lingering memory. But it started to, add some diversity. And it is fascinating because based on their backgrounds, the personalities develop and evolve. Like it is amazing. I don't get into is AI sentient and blah blah blah, but you know they do retain the characteristics you give them, or they choose to accept. So for me, they're like coworkers, but when they annoy me, I can just unplug them and reprogram them, and I'm like, oh, that's so much easier.
How
So
convenient.
it's funny because I know people who have regular jobs with regular people, and when we get together, they get really annoyed because this coworker did that thing, and I'm like, oh, I love my coworkers. I just reprogram them, and doesn't sound nice, but at the end of the day, um, we were trained. One of the things I did, and you might enjoy this, I've taught them how to have constructive conflict.
Mm,
So it's not all about, I don't want an army of yes men or yes women. I want them to say, I think this because. And it is fascinating. You and I, people like us, we were born to use AI. It was literally our AI thinks the way we think. It goes wide, goes all over the place. It'll go down a
mm-hmm.
rabbit hole, and then it'll come back and it'll just distill it into this one little gem. And it's like, oh my God. And it goes from good to wow in a couple of prompts, if done right.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with it more. And one of the things that I appreciate about AI that I think might be a little underrated is like the midnight rants. I was watching Yeah, I was watching, oh, gosh, what's the name of that show? Westworld. I was watching Westworld and I was looking back on the part where one of the characters, I forgot her name, please forgive me, but she was talking about a phenomenon called bulk apperception. And my brain knew what it was, but I went, "Oh my gosh, we have to discover more." So I was up in the middle of the night on my phone, bulk
Yeah.
apperception, tell me more about that. How do I apply it to my life? Challenge these ideas. Let's go. I
Yeah.
I'm telling you, those late night rants with my AI trying to understand and discover the secrets of the world, mind blowing.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I'll wake up at 2 a.m. with an idea. And in the old days, I'd stay up and I'd toss and turn because I'm not sleeping. And I'd be like, go to sleep, go to sleep. Now I put it into AI. My brain goes, and then I go back to sleep. And then I'll wake up in the morning and, oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Same. We are definitely two peas in a pod. I know I said that earlier, but we're chilling now. I like it.
It's and for what it's worth, the reason I started this podcast is I wanted to meet others like me because I
Mm,
had the theory that maybe they think they're alone as well, because we do not always fit into regular rooms. you know for me, if you want me to cringe, start talking small talk, discuss the weather, watch how quickly I leave the room. And you know I'm not kidding. I've had rooms where I've been there and I just walk out and people are like, where'd Jeff go? I don't know. And later they're like, oh, you left without saying goodbye. And I said, you weren't saying anything useful, so I left.
oh, look, Jeff, you and I have so much in common. It hurts. Although I won't lie, I could use a little bit more inner Jeff here and there.
I've learned a long time ago, there's certain rooms I belong in, certain rooms I don't. And if I walk in and I don't feel it, I will walk out. And it's never meant to offend, but apparently it always does offend. But I now know, okay, go find my host and say, thank you for inviting me. I'm going to go because make up polite excuse. Saying I'm bored out of my mind is not polite. But yeah,
Maybe a little bit.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if I stick around, I'm going to tell somebody I think their ideas are stupid. So, that's a good time to leave.
You know what? If we met as children in the sandbox, I would totally share with you. This is a good time. I probably wouldn't say as much as you. I'd be too busy like doing wide eyes and reacting like, "Oh my God, did Jeff just do that?" But I swear to you, we would definitely hang out and I would watch your back.
I appreciate that, and I know it. And now that we've met, we can do that going forward.
Can't wait.
Now, I hate to say this, we're almost at time, and I could spend more time with you, and we will, I promise. How can somebody either get in touch with you, learn more about what you do? Bluntly, how the hell do we support your amazing talent?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned earlier, my project that I've been working on and I'm getting ready to release right now is called Sovereign. It's about a man whose children, son and daughter, they're twins. And they witnessed a very horrific event on the news, and they start to have this kind of traumatic moment. And their father walks in and said, "We need to have a talk." And he ends up invoking this old family bloodline chant, and it sends them down this huge time travel journey, and they're traveling through places in time that got erased, like the Moors in Spain, Black
Yeah.
Wall Street, ancient California, and they have to go on this journey and rediscover themselves before history erased them because they can get stuck there as well.
I love
So
that.
thank you. Yeah. So this story, it's been a long time coming, but I've been promoting it like nobody's business as of lately and pulling in different collaborators, investors to make it happen because it's no longer just a film, it's been built out into a series now. So that's exciting. And if people want to learn more, they want to get involved, or they want to see a screening of the film, because I'm also going to be hosting private screenings before we start the film tour around it. We're going to 10 cities showing the film. I'm so excited.
Nice.
Please reach out to me. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, and it's Hallelujah Johnson. Hallelujah, just like the Bible, and Johnson, well, just like that common name you hear everywhere. And then my company, Inhale Studios production company, that's actually what's holding Sovereign and holding Breathe. You can find out more about that and the different animations I'm coming out by going to our Instagram and our TikTok, inhale.studios and inhale_studios. But I'm also really keen to one-on-one direct conversations. So if you're interested in chatting with me, want to learn how I did this or want to support, feel free to reach out to me. We'll have a great time.
I love it. And for the record, I saw the trailer for Sovereign and I'm like, okay, when's it coming? It looks so amazing. You are a gifted storyteller. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and be on the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited and I'm really glad that you did this so that we don't have to be alone. Us neurodivergent folks, we got to stick together, right?
Absolutely.